Hello, this is Rachel from thehealthywomb.com. This is WombTube, and today I'm going to talk to you about what foods to eat for polycystic ovarian syndrome, PCOS or PCOS for short. I tend to use the acronym PCOS, but I'm referring to polycystic ovarian syndrome, just to be clear. So today's question is, what foods can I eat? It's actually a brilliant question because you're often told what you can't eat, which I've done in another video. But foods you can eat. First of all, look at good, clean sources of protein. By clean, I mean really good quality protein, so not the type of meat that you see at the back of the supermarket shelf that looks grey, possibly got a rainbow sheen to it. You don't want anything like that. You want clean sources. Clean sources include eggs, fish, particularly small oily fish. The large fish tend to have a lot of mercury in. So, for example, mackerel is a really good fish, or wild caught salmon, but farmed salmon tends to not be quite as nutritious. Chicken, turkey can be very good. Chicken's high in omega-6s though, so you don't want too much. Beef, especially grass-fed beef, but very good quality beef, and it is worth the investment because you don't need to eat that much red meat during a week, only 2 or 3 portions if you're a woman. And pork is normally considered to be not one of the best meats, but actually a small amount of pastured pork or bacon is fine, and I personally quite like adding bacon onto greens to make them taste really good. So that's protein. If you're vegetarian, protein suitable for polycystic ovarian syndrome are a little more difficult because a lot of grains that contain protein tend to contain gluten. So you need to look at more of the ancient grains like amaranth and things like that. Quinoa is a very good grain for protein, and you also need to avoid soy. But there are ways of doing things with grains, seeds and nuts, which is called protein combining. Definitely you need to look that up in order to get all your essential proteins. Fat is another food group that is often excluded, but it's actually very good for people with polycystic ovaries. However, you're probably told you can't have any dairy, and dairy does cause insulin spikes, so we do want to avoid it. But there are so many fantastic sources of fat that have so many good qualities to them as well. So we particularly like olives. Olive oil, if it's cold pressed. If it's not cold pressed, it'll be extracted with various different chemicals and things that can have an effect on your body depending how sensitive you are to them. So cold press is the way to go. Coconut oil, and in fact coconut, I'm addicted to coconut, I'll eat it all the time, both the flakes and the chunks. Coconut milk, although that's actually got less fat in it. And avocado. Avocado is one of my favourite sources of fats. So they're all really good for you, and I know lots of people think fat is twice the number of calories as carbohydrate or protein, but we do need fat in our diet, it's essential. And finally, in the carbohydrates group, so you've probably been told not to eat soy or refined grains or gluten, and that can affect what you eat in the carbohydrates group. And also you need to stick to low GI foods. So in general, stick to whole fruits, not fruit juices, because they'll have a higher glycemic index, so you've just got the sugar and no fibre to slow it down. But whole fruits, particularly look at low GI fruits, are fine. High GI fruits such as pineapple are likely to cause a blood sugar spike. The best way to test this for you is actually to just do your own blood sugar testing, and if you get a sharp spike followed by a sharp fall, this means that you are particularly sensitive and you're provoking a strong insulin response to what you're eating. So I stick to the low GI foods and sometimes add in medium GIs. Vegetables, lots of green leafy vegetables, bright coloured vegetables, cruciferous vegetables. You can pretty much eat these as much as you want. If you do suspect or you have been diagnosed with thyroid issues, just make sure you cook them first. Other than that, just avoid sea vegetables if you do have thyroid issues. However, if you don't, go for it and eat sea vegetables. They're really good sources of things like iodine. Um, One thing I found was it was quite difficult for me to eat vegetables at first because I hadn't eaten them much, but I ended up finding several different vegan websites and getting some really interesting recipes from them. So, one of my favourites actually was a burger recipe, and instead of having the bun on either side, was two large portobello mushrooms. So, there are quite a lot of alternatives. Beetroot burgers are actually something I quite enjoy, but again, I have to be careful with the GI of beetroot. But I do recommend having a look at different websites. There are so many free recipe websites out there, paleo websites, vegan websites. Have a look at them all and see if you can find appealing vegetable recipes. And again, you're looking at low GI vegetables, so anything like white potatoes and cauliflower are probably going to be out. But again, you can test this by testing your own blood sugars to see what your insulin response is. I hope you found that useful. If you want to contact me for health coaching or discuss this further, my website is